Welcome, guys, to How the Frack We Got Here, a show that takes the news and events of the week and try to make sense out of it all. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan, and on this show, we simply are all about the facts. There are plenty of news stations out there that simply want to do anything short but inform you. Here at How the Frack We Got Here, that's all we believe in. We go up to the left, we go up to the right, we go up to the middle of independence, we go after all sides because there's more than one side of a story to everything. And you need to know it all in order to actually formulate your own opinion. And that's what we try to do here at How the Frack We Got Here. Thanks for listening, and hold on. It's going to be fun.
And let's try it again because it was muted.
All right, it was a late night watching the results for Kristen Welker as well as moderator of Meet the Press. She joins us now. Kristen, good morning. Thanks for staying up. We saw the margins there a lot wider than a lot of folks probably suspected they would be. What are your takeaways from what we saw last night?
The margins are, to some extent, one of the biggest headlines. One Republican strategist calling it a bloodbath last night. Look, it was clear that Democrats' message on affordability resonated, a rejection of President Trump's handling of the economy, his numbers in the low 30s, according to polls. It's also an indication that there is a general dissatisfaction. And the point that Steve was making, the Trump coalition did not turn out. Latino voters, voters of colors who he was able to win over, Craig, in 2024, didn't turn out for the Republican candidates without Trump on the ballot. Those voters aren't turning out. That's a warning sign to Republicans in addition to the message on the economy.
It was also interesting to see the president sort of distance himself to a certain extent from the Republican who was on the ballot in Virginia specifically. Mamdani, what, if anything, can we take away from what he was able to do in New York City last night? What might that mean for the midterms, if anything?
What a fascinating race. New York is obviously its own unique electorate. The candidates were unique. They each had their own baggage. So it's hard to draw too many national conclusions. However, he did represent change. His message on affordability clearly resonated. He indicated that voters may be open to a younger generation of politicians. He took on Trump head on. It's clear his message about socialism made some Democrats nervous. Congressional leaders Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries were hesitant to embrace him. Ultimately, they are embracing him. So this is going to be a potential debate within the Democratic Party, how progressive to run in the midterms. But the bottom line, Craig, Democrats are feeling bullish now heading into the midterms. A glimmer of hope last night.
All right.
Oh, the Democrats right now are, if they're not strutting, buddy, they are strutting. Today's date, November 5th, 2025, and this is how the Frack we got here, folks. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan on the Frack we got here. We do take the events of the week of it all, try to make sense of it all, and try to do our best to give you the best news that we can. Again, we do pride ourselves on being a news podcast, which means we only cite from sources with award-winning journalism and integrity. We don't do sensational news like Fox News, The Blaze, The Daily Beast, where extreme left or extreme right you get your views from. We simply don't do that. We simply give you just the facts. At the same time, guys, we do try to watch professionalism, try to keep the cuss words down to a minimum, but words do fly. At the same time, guys, there are things that might be shown that might be too intense for younger viewers, so viewer discretion is advised. Aside from that, welcome. So the best way I can think of how New York feels right now. I mean, that's the only way I can think about it. Of course, again, with the races being done, there was quite a lot. And the people did speak in Virginia, New Jersey, New York City, and California. People came up and finally sat there and said what we were all saying. We are all sick of taco shit. We are. Even more so, the New York race, the New York mayor's race, in which Andrew Cuomo was finally handed his walking papers, and Mr. Madani did win quite considerably in his race. So definitely congratulations to him. And yes, it was at some point to where it took a little bit of acceptance. Now, I say acceptance because the simple fact of the matter is just that when Madani was running, he was basically not reciting the typical, how can I put this ever so nicely, moderate Democrats, because we talk about this all the time about moderate Democrats. Moderate Democrats are really no different than Republicans or Republican light. And Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, did not at first want to endorse Madani. And I'm like, he's exactly what you need. We have said many a times in this podcast that the Democrats want to compete with MAGA-infested Republicans. You're going to have to go progressive. You are going to have to go bold. You are going to have to move forward and say some uncomfortable shit. Madani has done that. Now that he will be sworn in as mayor, it will remain to be seen what he does. Really and truly, it will remain to be seen what he does. However, that's not the only that's not the only people that won last night. And I just want to go very quickly before we get to the nitty gritty of it, because two states have already considered redistricting. I'll start with Maryland, because Governor Wes Moore has launched a redistricting commission to redraw Maryland's congressional map. Keep in mind, guys, this has all got to do with Texas. Texas 2 months ago decided, hey, technically now 3 months ago, 2-3 months ago, where they said, hey, we are going to redraw our congressional map, which means that Democratic seats will be eliminated and Republican seats will be gained. Even Representative Crawford, her seat would be gone. Representative Al Green's seat. I almost said Reverend. Sorry. Representative Al Green's seat was gone. So again, a lot of Republicans thought this was a great idea because this is them moving the goalposts, as we always talked about with the midterms next year. They're moving the goalposts, suppressing the votes, trying to mail-in voting. They're doing everything that they can to ensure that Taco's last 2 years of his presidency remain unfurled. They're trying. But now Maryland, specifically Governor Wes Moore, is saying we might remap our districting and we'll gain Democratic seats and Republicans will lose seats. Now, of course, Republicans hate that idea. They're doing everything that they can to literally turn around and sit there and say, well, that's illegal. You can't do that. Really? You did it in Texas. And even more so, California, which, again, for all those that don't know, Proposition 50 was supposed to lead to redistricting. As Governor Gavin Newsom sat there and said, well, if you're going to redistrict Texas, we're going to redistrict California. And they did not disappoint.
This is the new map of House districts that will be in place for next year. As you can see, Democrats think they will get 5 additional seats. The Republicans will go their delegation potentially from 9 down to as few as 4, as basically they carve up the state in a way that that spreads the Republicans very thin, just off of the coast entirely. That is a remarkable change for California, which has traditionally had some of the closest and most competitive races, particularly since they changed the whole system of redistricting, giving it to a nonpartisan commission. Voters are saying, actually, we'll take it back. We're going to go with Governor Newsom on this, and we're going to take it back for the rest of this decade. The reason why? Look at what's happening across the country, Lindsay. States including Texas, Missouri, Ohio, North Carolina have already carved up their new districts. That's going to give Republicans potentially as many as 8 additional districts. And Mary Bruce, who's with us in the studio right now, even with that win in California, that only takes 5 off the board. It's still advantage Republicans, but this is a big step and might be the most consequential thing that happens tonight for the midterms in 2020.
So what they're basically saying is the battle lines are being redrawn. And all I can sit there and say is, welcome to the Hunger Games. May the odds be forever in your favor. And again, this is a fight that the Republicans started. They sat there and said, oh, I wonder how easy it would be for us to redistrict and remove Democratic seats, to remove minority voices in these districts and make them exactly the way we see them. That's what they're doing. All this is like Hunger Games by redistricting, although Hunger Games by snap, but we'll get to that momentarily. But that's all they're doing. But the bright side about all this, and I keep saying this, that what will take outside of what happened in New York, that people are fed up. Even more so, if we look at Maine was also had a vote in the ballot for red flag laws, which they did vote in. They did, as of yesterday. Maine voters approved red flag laws on guns. Now, if you don't remember what red flags are, guys, these are laws that basically will determine or supposed to prevent individuals that have certain cases, domestic violence, some mental issues, multiple police occurrences, things of that nature. If they fall under certain conditions, they cannot purchase firearms. And again, I think that's great because that may lead to a lot of people who are not stable that should not have firearms. And this prevents it, which is all great things. But what's so crazy about all this is you have individuals out there that will sit there and say, but Will, criminals don't follow laws. And it hurts my head because that's a straw man argument. Criminals don't follow laws. Of course, but the last couple of issues that have occurred were not criminals. They were disturbed individuals that had access to firearms that they shouldn't have had. So again, if you look at the last shootings, the last tragedies, the last things that involve firearms, these are not criminals. These are individuals that literally and figuratively should not, and again, should not have weapons. So again, great things. Now, of course, Texas did, I don't know why, because we got to include them. They also had votes on as well about how can I put this ever so nicely? I think I just better show it. Showing it is better than talking about it. So Texas has voted two constitutional amendments to their state. One was to clarify that only U.S. citizens can vote in the state and to enshrine parental rights. I'm not making that up. I wish I was. I'm not making that up. The ballot was to clarify, and I'll right there. Only U.S. citizens can vote in the state. All I can sit there and say is that Texas, really? U.S. citizens can vote. That's already a given. The fact that, you're under this belief that illegal immigrants can vote is, well, bullshit. In the same sense, illegal immigrants get benefits. They don't. But you know what illegal immigrants actually do? They pay taxes. They pay into our taxes. And, far be it from anybody else, they do pay into our taxes. But they do not get our SNAP benefits. They're not able to vote. Their votes, they just can't. But yet Texas has decided to make that a part of their amendment. And I'm just like, ooh, the The elevator doesn't go all the way to the top in the Texas Legislature House outside of a few individuals. That's all I'm saying. But before we get to Trump's response, I want to get to one person who feels a way about what happened. And I'm talking about the lieutenant governor, the lieutenant governor who was running for governor of Virginia, Winsome Earl Sears. I just want to just play a little bit for a second. And I know it's Fox News. I know. Bear with me for 4 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Bear with me for 4 minutes because I want you to see what she said. And yeah, it's interesting.
Includes my next guest, Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears, Virginia gubernatorial candidate. Lieutenant Governor, as always, it's so great to see you. I have to say, I was rather shocked when I looked up on Saturday and saw former President Obama campaigning in Jay Jones' hometown with Jay Jones on the stage before him and then lecturing the rest of us about needing to bring civility back to politics.
Yeah, I mean, it's the hypocrisy, isn't it? First of all, as you all know, Jay Jones is the one who advocated 2 bullets to the head of his Republican opponent, as well as the killing of his Republican opponent's 2 children, and then said that the children and the wife, by the way, were breeding little fascists. And this is the president. But remember, Obama was supposed to be the president of hope and change. Whatever happened to all that? Where is the hope, Mr. President? Where is the change, President Obama? Of course, we know it's all hypocrisy. And then, of course, last year this time, he told everybody to vote for the black woman. Well, Charlie, here I am.
Right.
Here I am. And now he's singing a different tune. Hypocrisy all the way. But the Virginia voters are seeing through that because we are for common sense. And my opponent, Abigail Spanberger, is for nonsense.
You know, you raise a really important point, and I really honestly do not understand it because we did go through years of lectures about how important it was to vote for Barack Obama to be this historic first black candidate. And then afterwards, we were told that this was the greatest thing and it was going to solve all these problems. Yes. Of course, it didn't. And in fact, polls show that over the 8 years of his presidency, race relations actually deteriorated badly in this country. And then for him to have an opportunity to help out the first black female governor, by the way, of a state that elected the first black governor in the United States, explain to me what are we missing? How does this? I can't square this.
Yeah, you can't square it because it doesn't make any sense. I told you these people are for nonsense. If I have to tell you that water is wet, then what are we talking about? We don't even have a means to come to some agreement. The Democrats, as far as I see, they continue to fight the Civil War. Everything is racism. Everything is color. Everything is this issue. Well, here I am, an immigrant to this wonderful country, and I am dispelling all of those narratives that, no, there are opportunities in America if you avail yourself of them, because I'm the one whose father came to America with only $1.75. At the height of the Civil Rights Movement, he still chose to come to America because he said this is where the jobs and the opportunities were. And little did my father know that when he brought me as a 6-year-old girl from Jamaica, that one day I would be returning to New York as the nominee for governor of the great Commonwealth of Virginia. And by the way, I am also lieutenant governor of the former capital of the Confederate States. Don't tell me that America hasn't changed. Don't tell me that our children cannot succeed. Don't tell me that we cannot find ways to get along and live together. But again, these Democrats, they keep picking the scab of history, picking the scab of the past for their own benefit.
Well, it sure makes you stop and think maybe they don't really believe in all the things that they claim they believe in. Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for joining us, and good.
So we're going to just stop it right there. And the reason why I want to bring this up because that is former Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears. My apologies if I mess up your name. But this is the same person, right, who says, Obama didn't come to endorse me. I am a black woman. I am a black woman. That is our nation's first black president. Why did he not come to endorse me? But at the same time, turn around and sit there and say, oh, but he's for this, this, and this. Black conservatives, I know you're out there. You guys mystify me. You guys mystify me because how are you conservative? Even the modern day conservative has nothing for people of color, nothing for women. They are pretty much for old, rich ass white men. That's all they've been for. But for Winsome, who decided to hitch her ride, much like that Uncle Tom, Senator Tim Scott, much like Mr. Sambo Byron Donalds in Florida, and I can keep going down the list because there's a lot of them. Much like the Hodge twins, Officer Tate, Candace Owens, Jesse Peterson, they all hitched their grifting asses to the GOP. But a lot of people are wondering, well, I mean, a lot of people always know black people, not all skin folk is skin folk. Some of them are out for the bag. Exhibit A on the right, Miss Winsome. Now, what about Miss Winsome? You know, I wonder, for her to be so bad. I mean, yeah, she did. She says abortion is murder, calling it genocide, but still supporting a 6-week ban. She doesn't believe in same-sex marriages. She actually would like to have that reversed. She doesn't want to change Medicaid, but she wants to use Virginia's rainy day fund for emergencies, but didn't say which emergency would actually be covered if Medicaid funding ever fell short. I just wonder, just off those two things alone, you would think she would be more popular. But here's the thing that she's not saying. The thing that she's not saying is that Taco didn't endorse her. Taco didn't say anything about her, although Taco did a last Hail Mary to Andrew Cuomo. He did a last-minute Hail Mary. Well, don't vote for Madani. Madani's a communist. He's going to turn New York into a cesspool. Vote for Cuomo. I think he'll do a great job. No. See, here's the thing about people like her. Again, I don't like saying bitches. I mean, I don't say bitch unless they are one, because in my mind, the only true bitches out there is really Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn. But I can't call her what I really want to call her, so bitch is gonna have to be the same. But to Miss Sears, you are a grifting bedwench, and your policies are outdated. To sit there and say nothing has changed is your shtick. Not even your shtick, it's the GOP stick. Because they're trying to sit there and go, well, I don't get it. President Obama should have backed her if we're all about, uplifting black people. No, because your opinions reflect the GOP. And honestly, it's people like you. It's really and truly people like you that I cannot effing stand. Because as it was said in a social media post that's been going around quite a lot lately, you're not conservative. You're just desperate for white approval. Exhibit A. So I don't feel bad that she lost, actually by a landslide, because again, the people have spoken. The people in these states have spoken and sat there and said, we are tired of Taco. We're tired of high prices. We're tired of everything going up our paychecks. We're tired of job loss. We're tired of all these things. And we're tired of a government that's about to be shut down. If I've checked the government shutdown timer correctly, I think we're knocking on the door of 38 days, if I am right. I want to say, no, we might be 30. Let me just double check instead of me trying to go off the top of my head. We are 35 days. So yeah, this is day 35. We are day 35 currently. And at the same time, another week goes by and we would have in a few days, we would have the record for the longest government shutdown in history. And I'll get to that other part momentarily, but I just always want to make a reminder about this. During this government shutdown, representatives and senators are still getting paid via the U.S. Treasury. Government workers, contractors, those that are considered essential workers have already missed their first paycheck, but are still expected to come into work. So if you go to like the airport and TSA's lines are a little bit shorter, hey, bills don't work off. Bills don't work off a maybe or a promise. Because here's the one thing about bills that all adults understand. Every system can go down. Every system can go down. But you know the one system that never has a slow day? The billing system. That sumbitch works miraculously and effortlessly and is efficient as hell. That's the one system that never goes down. But bills come whether you have a job or not. So those in TSA, those air traffic controllers, those people that are considered the essential, we need people here jobs should be the ones getting taken care of. Not Argentina getting bailed out with 40 billion, not Taco insisting that the National Guard get paid because, again, you sent them to 4 Democratic cities. And if the Army's not getting paid, well, hard to keep an Army in line if they're pretty much broke and they're hungry. But speaking of Taco, because, again, all this did happen last night. And if you don't think Taco said nothing, oh, he did.
Trump was up late last night watching election results. In a flurry of rambling social media posts, he weighed in on why Republicans lost across the board. Just after 10 p.m. Eastern, Trump offered this excuse for the sweeping nationwide GOP losses, writing, quote, "Trump wasn't on the ballot and shutdown were the 2 reasons that Republicans lost elections tonight." About an hour later, he posted again, calling for the passage of so-called voter reform, pushing for voter ID laws, ending mail-in voting, and eliminating the filibuster. During New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani's victory speech, Trump also posted in all caps, "And so it begins." Meanwhile, the official White House Instagram account posted a modified version of the Knicks logo that read, "Trump is your president," presumably a reaction to Mamdani's win. And we saw Mamdani was pretty defiant when talking about Trump last night. But today in Washington, a big case about Trump and one of his signature policies.
Yeah. So, of course, I love, let me go back. I want to go back to this part right here. This part. This is Taco's response, ladies and gentlemen. I wasn't on the ballot, and the shutdown were the 2 reasons why Republicans lost elections tonight. This is Taco's response. I wasn't on the ballot. I wasn't on the ballot. Oh boy, if vanity was a person, this motherfucker will be the definition of it. You're not going to be on the ballot. Your policies were on the ballot, though. Your entire MAGA was on the ballot. And here's the thing that I have been saying, that it's waning. What got him here was pretty much riding out the waves of idiots, grifters, and everybody else that want to ride on Taco's coattails. The magic is fleeting because reality is setting in for a lot of people, even those that voted MAGA, even those that voted Republican. Reality is setting in. China's not buying our soybeans. Cost of everything is going up, all because he set it all in motion. You put in tariffs, then you try to go to war with China over manufacturing. Then you try to not realizing that America is not manufacturing. We are basically consuming. As I've said before in this podcast, 70% of everything that we have comes from overseas. Very few things that we do have come from our states. And right now, as I said before, 2 podcasts ago, soybean farmers are taking a hit because China sat there and said, "Nah, we're good." China used to buy our soybeans no problem. Now, oh no, we're good. We're gonna go to Brazil. We're gonna go to Argentina. We're going to these other spots because they grow soybeans too. And now farmers, who most of them did vote for Trump, are panicking. It's 2016 all over again, where the farmers are hoping to get bailed out. And yet, this mess of a cesspool was caused because Taco decided to play with matches, a fire started, then he goes running out, comes back in, and says, "Who started this fire?" while you're holding the matches. So yes, although Taco wasn't on the ballot. But the shutdown is his fault. And those that rode his coattails in the MAGA mob are now paying for it. Because again, the people are tired. And I've said that before. The people are effing tired. And no matter how you look at it, as I said before, and I'll say it again, with the midterms coming up next year, this was just 4 states. 4 states that had either votes or propositions being put out. 4 states. Do you really? And this alone should make Republicans and Taco nervous, because if this is an indication of what happens next year, Democrats could possibly control the House and control the Senate, which could make things very problematic for Taco's last 2 years of his presidency. Well, does that mean that they're going to try to impeach him? They could try to indict him. But for all those that may not remember civics courses that well, it takes 2/3 of Congress to impeach a president. So even if all Democrats all vote to impeach this man, we still need Republican support. And Republicans, if we haven't noticed the last 2 times that Trump has been impeached, they have sat there and voted no. So no, even if the Democrats do get control of the House and the Senate, no. Unless Republicans all of a sudden decide that they want to be like, they want to off the king, supposedly. That's the only way they're going to vote for it, but I doubt it. However, they can curtail the president's power through checks and balances. They can stop a lot of what he's trying to do, and they can push it through if they have majority in the House and Senate. Like I said, if anything, you can make the last 2 years of Taco's presidency very problem-freaking-matic. You really could. But here's another reason why we should be worried, because Taco is still pushing forward with his tariffs, and he's going to his favorite court to hopefully submit his power. And we've already said on this podcast the dangers of a right-leaning Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court today hears arguments over the legality of President Trump's global tariffs. At issue, whether an emergency law dating back to the 1970s allows the president to impose certain tariffs without congressional approval. The Trump administration in April declared an emergency over trade deficits and used that declaration to justify tariffs.
The core of their argument is that the imbalance in trade between the United States and other countries has created a national emergency for the economy and for national security, and that these tariffs are a needed response to that emergency and therefore authorized implicitly by Congress in this 1970s law.
But a group of business owners in blue states sued, claiming Trump invented that emergency. Rick Wildenberg, the lead plaintiff, says businesses are getting hit hard. He runs a toy company.
In 2024, I believe that we calculated that we paid $2.3 million in tariffs. We calculated that based on our 2025 budget, the closest we could come to an apples comparison, it would have been $100 million.
The stakes are high. If the court rejects the tariffs, the U.S. government could owe tens of billions of dollars in refunds to businesses. And President Trump would lose a key bargaining chip in negotiations with other countries. Trump calling this case, quote, life or death for our country.
He's been able to sign peace deals all over the world and end global conflicts and literally save lives. He's been able to bring in trillions of dollars of investments into our country.
And President Trump has said these tariffs in the long term will boost manufacturing in the U.S. After oral arguments today, the justices are expected to rule by.
What's amazing is that they're still trying to sit there and say this whole, well, I stopped 8 wars. No, we didn't. We covered that. You didn't stop 8 wars. You didn't peacefully end 8 wars. The fact that you're the only one saying it and that no one else is comping to it except Fox News and all other state media screams volumes, by the way. But no. But again, that's the scary part. The scary part that the right-leaning Supreme Court could give Taco what he wants. Unequivocal tariff power. Now, here's the thing, and I'll say it before and I'll say it again. Tariffs don't work. That's the reason why they're not implemented. You ever notice that every president has not implemented tariffs to the extent that Taco has? Taco believes that tariffs are going to reduce manufacturing. They don't. Taco believes that, hey, this is how we can get Americans back on track. It won't. Because a lot of people are now finding out that when it comes to tariffs, the ones that pay more are the consumers. That's it. Of course, the exporter, the importer, they're not going to pay the extra prices. They're going to pass that along. They're going to pass that buck along to the last person in that line, us. And we need things. Especially, I mean, even if you take away the luxuries, the necessities still get tariffs put on them. Go to a grocery store. Everything is freaking high. Everything. It's getting to the point where people are like, you know what? Maybe growing a garden ain't so bad. Myself included. I have sat there and said, you know what? Maybe growing a garden ain't so bad after all. Because that's how bad things have gotten. So we'll definitely see what SCOTUS does. I mean, they may turn around and say, well, that it is what it is, but they also may turn around and say, no, you may have that ability. Or the scary part is they may give Taco what he wants. And I can only imagine the financial fallout from all of that. But speaking of fallout, I just thought this was weird. And I know it's going to be a little weird as I say this. Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? Has anybody noticed lately that she's non-crazy, non-conspiracy theorist, non-QAnon? And the reason why I say that is because, well, this was her interview on The View, a little bit of it.
You all may not know about me. I think a lot of people on the left are learning that when I ran for Congress in 2020, I ran criticizing Republicans and Democrats equally because I come from a working class family, ran a construction company for over 20 years, and I feel like the government has failed all of us. And it purely disgusts me. It really does. And I represent a district that is rural, manufacturing district, blue collar workers, and people have been crushed by decades of failure in Washington, D.C. And so I have no problem pointing fingers at everyone. And the worst thing that I just can't get over is we're not working right now. And I put that criticism directly on the Speaker of the House. And we should be at work. All the people sitting in this audience, they go to work every day. People at home watching this show, they go to work every day. Ladies, you go to work every day. The people on your set, and it is an embarrassment to me that we're not in session.
And getting paid.
I'm not taking a paycheck.
Good for you.
Exactly. I'm not taking a paycheck.
Exactly. Good for you. Exactly. I think you're one of the only ones.
Well, like the air controllers. List. I think that should be a public list.
Yeah.
I think that's fair because our paychecks are taxpayer funded.
Correct.
However, I voted to fund the federal government on September 18th. I want all federal employees to be paid. I want all the programs to be funded. And I think that is our job, all of us together, Republicans and Democrats in the House and the Senate. And I'll look, I'm with women, so I feel very comfortable saying this. I'm really tired of the pissing contest in Washington, D.C. between the men. I really am.
Now I know what a lot of y'all are thinking. I know what a lot of y'all are thinking. Like, there's an angle here. This is coming from the same person that talked about Jasmine Crawford, that talked about many of her Democratic co-workers. This woman agitated Joe Biden during his State of the Union address. And now all of a sudden she's, oh, well, we should do this and we should do that. And I'm not taking a paycheck. Bullshit. I'm sorry. Be honest. Because in the Constitution, when a government shutdown happens, you guys get paid either way. Telling me that you're not taking a paycheck as if it's supposed to be some noble thing is a load of caca. But again, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I will give AOC, I usually, my wife usually gives me the tea, and I listen sometimes. But AOC brings up a wonderful point about Marjorie Taylor Greene's 180, because, again, it's a little weird. But hear AOC out.
Here's some tea for you. MTG, people are like, oh my God, she's saying all these things. Like, what's gotten into her lately? Oh, like she's bucking against Trump. She's bucking against the administration. Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to run for Senate in Georgia. She wanted to run for Senate earlier this year in the state of Georgia. She wanted to be the Republican nominee for Senate. So she was gearing up for that statewide race, and Trump told her no. Trump said no. And the White House and Trump land shut down Marjorie Taylor Greene's personal ambitions to run for Senate. And she has been on a revenge tour ever since.
Says a lot, doesn't it? Says a lot. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, but imagine that you have aspirations. You have aspirations of running for Senate in Georgia. Now, currently, the current senators, Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, will probably be one of her two opponents. And you go to your president and say, I want to run for Senate. Do I have your support? And he tells you, no, I don't think you'll be good. You're right where we need you to be. You're fine. Could this be the reason why she's all of a sudden done a 180? Like I said, I don't usually delve into tea that much, but that would explain a lot. And it explains a lot just because of the fact of the matter is, why all of a sudden now she's saying a lot more progressive things than she was saying conservative things. Maybe because under Taco's umbrella, she may not get to the yellow brick road that she's always wanted. Just saying. I just thought the shit was interesting because, yeah, everybody was wondering, like, what the fuck got into her outside of some common sense. But I digress. Another thing that is coming up lately is Nancy Pelosi, because sources are saying that she might be resigning from office post-election. Now, again, nothing has been confirmed. Pelosi's camp has said nothing about this. But it is kind of expected that she'll be making an announcement about not seeking re-election, possibly. But here's the thing that I'm getting at, folks, because I've said this before, and I'll say it again, that when it comes to Pelosi and Schumer and many others in the older generation that are a part of the Democratic Party, you guys are not going to win with centrist, moderate Democrats. You're not going to win with middle of the road, playing both sides, bringing kumbaya. You're not, at this time in politics, you're not going to win with them. Well, Will, what about Obama? Obama was a centrist president. He was also charming. He also was eloquent. He was well informed. He also did have no problem with debating anybody. He also had no problem campaigning hard. He had no problem bridging the gap. And yes, he did have a wave of historical momentum behind him as the nation's first potential Black president. That is also true. But at the same time, with President Obama, you see now he goes around and starts talking. Everybody's like, everybody treats President Obama and Michelle like, Mom and Dad, could y'all come home? The babysitter's fucking weird. And I can't knock them, because whenever you see the former president, and in my mind, still FLOTUS, Michelle Obama made you feel safe. But then again, that's a Black woman. A strong Black woman will always make you feel safe, but you will never cross her. But at the same time, we miss that particular couple in the White House, because at least we had a competent president and an exceptional first lady. We did. And now you pretty much got the dumber version of Ren and Stimpy with the first hostage, because Melania Trump is pretty much like a hostage. She pops out every now and then and does nothing. But the thing I'm getting out of here, getting back to Pelosi, Schumer, it is time for you guys to resign, step down. Please don't seek re-election. The Democratic Party needs to change. It does. If you want to win, and trust me, you're kind of our last hope at this moment to win for the midterms next year. You must be bold and you must be progressive. Madani had already showed you, if you're bold, if you're progressive, if you stand on what you say, you will get the people's attention. And everybody's like, oh, well, if Pelosi's gone, who do you want? What do you want? Crawford? Do you want AOC? Do you want Rashida to leave? Do you want you want the squad to step forward? Yeah. See, here's the thing about me. I want progressiveness. I consider myself a progressive. I do want progressive measures to move forward. Now, if that means that the face of the Democratic Party should be led by women, cool. Here's I have no issue with it. I have none with women leading the party, with women being vice president, with women being president, with an all-women cabinet if that works. We've seen what an all-men cabinet has done for 44 presidents. I would like to see what an all-women cabinet does. I would not mind it at freaking all, because at the same time, things need to change. And at the same time with Pelosi, I am not knocking her. She has actually helped in key moments of legislation. There were some decisions I did not agree with that she did. But overall, I do think it's time for fresh faces. People are tired of seeing politicians being people. You know what people are tired of? People are tired of seeing Congress as a daycare with power. People are tired of seeing Congress as a retirement home with power. You have 50, 60, 70, almost 80-year-old people still serving. It is completely and utterly okay to refresh the party with young, fresh faces, bold ideas, and even bolder narratives. You want to, and these are the ones that are willing to fight. And again, no disrespect to Schumer, but it's time for him to go. No disrespect to Pelosi. It's time for her to go. And if it means that more women fill in to these positions of leadership within the party, cool. Because that is what I mean by progressive. That anybody can lead forward, man or woman. But if women step up at the Democratic Party and say, we want to lead the charge, I am all for it. Because that right there says that you are ready to change the narrative. But again, the Democratic Party needs to change. Tell me if I'm wrong. That being said, guys, I did want to get to what's happening with transportation and things of that nature, guys, because, well, with transportation and SNAP, well, let's start with Mr. Department of Transportation, Secretary of Transportation, Mr. Duffy, who is explaining, well, if you're trying to fly right now, might be a little difficult.
None of us can manage missing 2 paychecks. So if you bring us to a week from today, Democrats, you will see mass chaos, you will see mass flight delays, you'll see mass cancellations, and you may see us close certain parts of the airspace because we just cannot manage it because we don't have the air traffic controllers. And as every day goes by, I think the problem is going to only get worse, not better. I hope that Democrats come to their senses and end this shutdown. I don't even know what they're asking for. I have no idea. What is the shutdown over? I don't know. Do they want to negotiate? They want I don't know what they want.
What's crazy is I don't know what they want. Okay. You are the Secretary of Transportation, right? Pete Buttigieg, before you, did an exceptional job. Really tried his hardest under the Biden administration. However, this pendejo says, well, we all can't operate off a few. We all can't operate if we're missing a few paychecks, because he's talking about the number of air traffic controllers that have called out. Because again, this is now they've already went past 1 paycheck. They're already missing 1 paycheck, about to miss 2. So they're about to have 2 paychecks missing, but still expected to work. I have never understood that because look, in order for me to, if I'm going to be working, I'm expecting to be paid. If I'm not paid, how the frack do you still expect me to work? I've never understood that concept, because these are the same people. Oh, remember during COVID, we love our essential workers. We love our nurses, our doctors, our first responders. We love our air traffic controllers. We love our TSA people. We love everybody that braves going into the office, risking their health, to keep our country running. Thank you, essential workers, so freaking much that we never changed the laws to pay you. We never changed the laws. But hey, Republicans and representative senators, your paychecks are never coming up short. Matter of fact, thanks to U.S. Treasury and now going on 35 days, your paychecks are still coming in. And then he has the absolute audacity. What are they wanting? Democrats have sat there and said what they want the entire time. We want guarantees that the Obama and ACA mandates will be extended. Because for all those that don't remember, Republicans have been trying to get rid of Obamacare and the ACA law for a while now, only because insurance companies hate that law. Insurance companies hate Obamacare mandates. But I don't get it, Will, because the price increase, so the Obamacare must be bad. Here's the thing. For all those that don't remember, the ACA law allows you to get insurance regardless of your conditions, and you're not paying more if you have pre-existing conditions. So no insurance company can turn you away. Same thing with Obamacare. Open up the health market exchange to where, in theory, it was a great idea that you can shop around, that you can possibly keep your doctor and things of that nature. The most unwilling participants of both those things was Republicans and health insurance companies. Because in the U.S., caring or just or health in general is a for-profit business. Healthcare in the U.S. is a for-profit business, and that's the problem. Unfortunately, we have not adapted to Medicare for all. We have not adopted to a single-payer system like other countries have done, to where their healthcare is exceptional. But health insurance companies like United Health, like Aetna, like Humana, all are bucking at this. And what do? They increase the prices because now they have to take on people who they would have turned away for pre-existing conditions, for overweight, for all this stuff. So what they're trying to say is, because of Obamacare and the ACA law, we have to raise our prices to pay for these individuals that now that cost falls onto you. All the while, they're still breaking in record profits. So it's amazing to me that Mr. Duffy, that you do not know what Democrats are fighting for, so you decided to take the Trump route and say, "Well, I don't know what the whole thing's about." Well, I'll gladly tell you, it's about health insurance. And if you cared about your air traffic controllers and your TSA personnel the same way that your mind works about not caring what the Democrats have been talking about, which you know full hell and well they did, you would have more people at TSA lines. You would have more people to come in for work, because it's bullshit to celebrate those essential workers and not ensure they get paid, unless they're a country like Argentina that's getting $40 billion, unless they're ICE, which again, the modern day Gestapo is still getting paid during a shutdown, unless you're the National Guard, who's actually following orders to occupy democratic cities, they're still getting paid. So you're telling me that out of a country and two organizations, you found money. But yet when it comes to air traffic controlling, that without enough air traffic controllers, without enough TSA people, some airlines will have to shut down their flights. And again, we're not too far off from the beginning of the holiday season with Thanksgiving around the corner. And yet we're still in a government shutdown. Miss me with the bullshit. And also, speaking of bullshit, guys, remember when Taco sat there and said about SNAP and the fact that I am not going to give a doggone dime until Democrats reopen the government? Well, a judge in Rhode Island said differently. Said that either you can partially fund SNAP or you can pay it in full for November. The Trump administration said that we will partially fund SNAP, but it could take months because they're doing it with a $4.65 billion payment. That was the emergency reserves that was set for SNAP benefits, which could pay for November. But they're saying that it could take months. Again, bull and shit. This is Taco, literally and figuratively, dragging his feet. And it's amazing where he sat there and said, well, if they said that I could do it, it would be my honor. Be your honor? Fucker, all you have to do is, this is the part that kills me about Taco. He can wave his wand. He tells his lapdog bitch Pam Bondi, I want you to go after everybody that prosecuted me. And what does she do? She gets people who are willing and dumb enough to indict James Comey, indict Letitia James, indict Fannie Willis. He finds individuals because Pam Bondi didn't want to do it, but let's be honest, she's not an AG. You are now what William Barr was for Trump. You are now the second William Barr, is what you are. Not even Jeff Sessions. You are now William Barr. Stuck being the hand of the king because you got to wipe his shit. So again, he tries to sit there and say, well, it'll take months. It will take months. Keep in mind, that was one day where he sat there and said, well, it will take months to finally get those payments out. And yet, on Truth Social, we see, hang on a second. We see this shit on Truth Social. I'll read it if it's too small. So, Taco says SNAP benefits, which increased by billions and billions of dollars, many-fold during crooked Joe Biden's disastrous term in office, due to the fact that they were haphazardly handing to anyone for the asking was opposed to those just in need, which is the purpose of SNAP, will be given only when the radical left Democrats open up the government, which they can easily do and not before. Thank you to your attention to this matter. Did he really try to sit there and say billions of dollars during crooked Joe Biden's disastrous term to office that were handed to anyone? For all those that need a history lesson, guys, because a lot of people are going, well, what does he mean by that? Okay, so before Joe Biden's presidential run, SNAP had actually marked out to where 39 million, give or take, people were actually on the SNAP benefits program. Keep in mind, this is still in the middle of COVID. This is still going forward with things being shut down. That 39 million ballooned to 41 million. Ballooned. 39 before, 41 after. Again, with COVID restrictions, business shutting down, and things going remote, people were losing jobs, so therefore the benefits did increase by 2 million. The way that Taco is trying to make it sound is that everything went to shit under Biden. It didn't. It's just that unfortunately, with COVID and loss of jobs and things of that nature, and remote work and gig work was kicking up, folks needed to make sure that they had a way of getting fed. That's what SNAP is for. And I could go down the list that SNAP could actually be expanded more. Really and truly, it could. It really could be expanded more for what it is. But I digress, because that's a whole nother rabbit hole, if you will. So again, we'll leave that alone. But he's withholding benefits. Now, you think for a guy that spends most of his adult life in court, that if a court order comes down and says, hey, you guys need to pay it, go ahead and pay it. And it's not like, Steve Bissett, who is the Secretary of the Treasury, can literally sit there and say, okay, let's get these payments out as soon as possible. Not to mention the child nutrition program that has $17 billion in a budget. You could draw more from those programs to aid to SNAP. Because again, folks, there are some folks out there that are literally and figuratively sitting out, trying in these food pantries, at these donation places, all trying to make sure that they can feed themselves and their families. Because again, you are more closer to poverty than you are being toward a billionaire. And I've said before on this podcast, everybody is 1 or 2 paychecks away from being out in the street. And that alone says what the wage income gap, what is actually helping with the lack of helping people in this country, really does say. Because you have corporations out there, either reaching the billion or $1 trillion stage. You have business, you have rich ass men buying another useless yacht that they may not need, paying very little in taxes, while middle and lower class Americans get stuck with the bill. And yet, the president, I cannot call him that, Taco, could do the right thing and just fund Snap, which he can do, chooses not to, and yet wonders why there was a landslide in the voting last night. People are tired of your shit. That's just being honest. And again, this kind of goes into the next couple of basic things I got from the business world, is because again, GM is cutting thousands of jobs in Michigan, Tennessee, and Ohio because EV adoption. Because keep in mind, EV vehicles were being manufactured in Michigan, Tennessee, and Ohio. Now, because those EV lines are not being, those EV vehicles are not being purchased, they're usually sitting on lots with other cars gathering dust because nobody wants to deal with banks. At the same time, money is tight. Those very same factories now have to release people. Now, again, it is completely messed up because with the simple fact of the matter is, I want to say overall, it's about 1,200 people in Detroit, 500 in Ohio, and 700 in Tennessee, if I'm right. I think I'm right. Yeah, 1,200 workers in Detroit, 550 in Ohio, 700 in Tennessee. So yeah. So again, these are people that have to find jobs. People who have families have to make sure that they have a way of keeping food on the table. And this is where Snap and those are the benefits where it came into place easily. And again, Taco is sitting there holding the ball. Even with Chrysler, or I should say Stellantis, because this one kind of hurt my heart a little bit, and I'm not going to lie. Chrysler recalls 320,000 Jeep plug-in hybrids because the battery can catch fire. The actual battery for those hybrid vehicles can catch fire. There's not a fix for that yet. Stellantis, who owns Chrysler, Jeep, and Dodge, are all saying, look, if you own a Jeep right now, please park it outside and away from buildings. There is a chance the battery can catch fire. And it is amazing to me that, and I'm just saying, the regulations were pulled for electric vehicles because for all those that don't remember, Taco literally stripped the EPA. He did. The EPA, which would have actually been on the regulation of electric vehicles, things of that nature, he pretty much stripped their powers. And now they're all sitting out there, trying to enforce things, but everything they're trying to get enforced is now, allowed to do it. For example, coal companies, some coal minings have reopened up. There is some fracking. He even signed off some forest land can be drilled and lumbered. He's already signed off on some areas. So it's like Taco said, bump the environment, get money. But at the same time, Chrysler, who again, I'm sorry, not Chrysler, Stellantis, who again reported profits, are now telling folks, hey, if you own a Jeep, might want to park it outside, which hurt my heart because I love Jeeps, especially a 392 if I ever get the chance. But dang, you think for electric vehicles that we got this figured out. But before we get to our feel good news segment, guys, I want to talk about journalistic integrity as the last thing. Now, again, I'm a big proponent of journalistic integrity on how the fact we got here. I like to think that we're doing just that. That although I do give my opinions on a lot of things, we do try to do it from a non-biased standpoint and reporting just the facts, and the facts speak for themselves. Now, what hurts my heart is that CBS, for all you guys that didn't remember, we did actually do a story on them where Taco had sued CBS for a Kamala Harris interview, to which he says they doctored it to make him look bad, even though he wasn't in it. CBS, I should say the owner of CBS, Paramount, because he wanted to purchase Skydance, caved to Taco, paying out the settlement, scrapping the 60 minutes interview, at the same time installing who is now the chief and editor, Bart Weiss, who, in my opinion, is pretty much a Trump plant because she has already gutted a lot of the journalists there at CBS. And even more so, I got to point out 60 Minutes because 60 Minutes used to be the staple for many reasons. Like I said, used to be one of the foundations of integrity and journalistic capabilities. And now, bear with me, guys, we're not watching all of it. I just want to show the first 5 minutes of what happens because now that you have a neutered or nerfed 60 Minutes, Taco has no problem coming on. And again, I hate seeing a journalist handcuffed from doing their job.
The story will continue in a moment.
I'm gonna stop it right there because again, that and I apologize. It was 10 minutes. Thank you for sticking with me. 10 minutes of watching, in my opinion, a journalist doing their hardest to ask questions, but couldn't do what they wanted to do. Because I've said before with these politicians, you got to fact check them and hold their feet to the fire. I mean, Hot 97, Ebro, Hot 97's Ebro in the morning did that with New York Mayor hopeful Andrew Cuomo. And what happened? Cuomo hung up on him. Now, with Trump, he should have been held his feet to the fire. But what he did, he installed Weiss as the new, he didn't install Weiss in, but Weiss was selected to be the new editor-in-chief for CBS. And now the editor for CBS had resigned, folks had left, a new person is installed, is gutting the entire news division inch by inch, and thinks that she needs an 8-man security team around her because she thinks she's going to get Charlie Kirk. Honey, nobody is going to be coming after you that hard. But she has one job and one job alone: to systematically take down one of the foundations of integrity and journalistic responsibility that CBS used to have. Because those were the pillars: ABC, CBS, NBC. I don't count Fox. Fox became an entertainment network when they realized there's money in sensationalism, there's money in beach blondes and short skirts, and guys will watch Fox News with the mute button on. Take it how you will. But it's scary to watch what used to be a award-winning journalistic program get reduced to another sound chamber that Taco can go into and not get checked and spew all sorts of incorrect information, only for the journalist to sit there and unfortunately have to take it, but still try to be professional about it. And that's why CBS, much like Fox, is nerfed. Much like why the Pentagon Press Corps is now Newsmax, is now News Media, and is now pretty much state-run news. And that is effing sad. But we're going to go on and move on to our feel-good segment, guys, because usually when we have the Frack guy here, we do cover a lot of things that are doom and gloom, sometimes making you faith humanity. But hey, it's Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday. We will leave you guys out some good news, some good vibrations. And the younger generation never cease to amaze me as they always restore my faith that they may be the ones to get it right. Imagine for your birthday, all you want to do is feed people. This is what this young man did, exactly that.
All right, now to our Brightly segment. It's our segment where we let the good news shine. Most kids celebrate their birthdays by receiving gifts and eating cake. But one 8-year-old is spending his special day feeding families and giving back to those in need. Joining me now is Alex Anning. He's with his mom, Cambria Young, who's the executive director of Season to Soar, a nonprofit based in Chicago. Alex, first of all, happy birthday, my man, all right? You turned the ripe old age of 8, and you spent your birthday weekend hosting a food drive. So what inspired you to give back?
My mom told me about someone who did a food drive, and I felt bad for the people who didn't have a house, so I decided to do one too.
That's amazing to really just see that and take things into your own hands. I love that. Now, Cambria, you should be proud, right? I mean, this is amazing to see your son do this. Tell us more about the food drive in your organization, Season to Soar. What kind of needs are you seeing in the community?
Yeah, well, Alexander, as he mentioned, heard about a food drive that another young child did for their birthday, and he was moved to do one as well. Season to Soar is a nonprofit organization that provides services to uplift underserved communities. We do leadership training to encourage youth to take action in their own communities. So we had a food drive yesterday led by Mr. Alexander for his 8th birthday. Originally, we intended to feed 150 people, but of course, there is so much need in the community right now with so many individuals who just are struggling to get by day by day since they don't have access to SNAP benefits that they rely on for support. So we were able to triple our impact and actually give out over 500 bags of groceries to people. We had a line of people outside before the food giveaway even started, and we didn't have to turn anyone away. So we were able to feed everyone. But we've been receiving calls from the community asking when we're going to be giving food away again, and when resources or if other organizations have resources available. So we definitely need more support so that we can continue giving and serving the community during this time of critical need.
You know, Cambria, I'm looking at all these pictures and I see Alex there just doing all this work. I just want to say, I want to give Alex a round of applause. Can you and I just give your son Alex there a round of applause? My man, big up Alex. There you go. There you go. Alex, you got to tell me, why is it important to give back? What kind of message do you want to give to other kids like you?
They should do it too.
You're right. They should. You know what it is? I just think seeing you do what you do, Alex, you're such a great example for everyone else, not even your age, but people older like you. Someone like me could take a lesson. I mean, Cambria, we're heading into the holiday season right now, right? What are you planning next? I can only imagine the kind of example that you can take from Alex there.
Yeah, we are. You're right on. We're heading into the holiday season, and this is a time where families really should just be able to get together and enjoy being together and not have to worry about food or be insecure about where their meal for the holiday is going to come from. So we are definitely planning to have a Thanksgiving drive where we're giving turkeys away, giving more grocery bags away for the holidays to make sure that families are able to enjoy and not have to worry.
All right, Alex, Cambria, thank you. And once again, my man, happy birthday. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
That's the new move right there.
And again, man, that's just awesome. Look, the best way I could put this, guys, is first and foremost, he's 8. Happy birthday, by the way. 8 years old, man. 8 years old, and already just because you should. That lets me know the next generation gonna be all right. I say that all the time. The next generation, I worry about them because, again, I'm a parent. I worry about them all the time. But when I see stuff like that, just, man, that right there, that makes me feel great. And for all those that want to help, again, I know a lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are trying to make sure that you got food on the table, things of that nature. If you have the ability to help somebody, please do so. Don't put yourself in a hole trying to help somebody else. Just please, if you can, whether it's food, whether it's money, whether it's your time, please do what you can. And also, I just want to give that. I just also want to shout that young man out because this is actually his page right here, guys. If you go to givebutter.com or basically just type in Alex's 8th birthday food drive in Google, this will pop up. That's the young man we were just seeing about for his 8th birthday. He's actually giving away a food drive. So if you can donate, guys, please do so. Again, 8 years old. And he's not, I mean, he's many one of other kids out there that just amaze me so that the need to help out others in a child, man, that just makes me feel great. That makes me smile. But that being said, guys, that's going to do it for this podcast. Thank you all for watching, for liking, for letting people know this is live. I certainly appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. I really, truly do. Before we get out of here, guys, shameless plugging, because that's what we do on here, shameless plugging. Shout out to APR TV. Why? Because our show, How the Frack We Got Here, can be seen on APR TV, whether on the Roku channel app or Amazon Fire TV. There's other shows out there you can also enjoy as well, but definitely check it out. You will not be disappointed. Also, BlurStation.com. I have also talked about BlurStation.com, guys, for going on now. It is a streaming content site for content for us, by us, and we should be enjoying, as more sites should be more like this, not just Tubi. Movies, television, anime, cartoons, you name it, they have it. $10.99 a month to stream Blur Station, and Blur Station can stream on all smart devices. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. Lock in and definitely welcome home. And this might be a little late, but again, run for office. We keep talking about run for office for those that feel the need to serve, whether it's local or national. You can definitely use runforoffice.org to help you in that process of getting your name on a ballot, hopefully to run and get elected and be the change that we definitely need to have in this country. But again, runforoffice.org. I know there's many other sites out like this one, but this one can definitely help you out. Also, guys, you can find us, How the Frack We Got Here, on YouTube. Simply type in How the Frack We Got Here podcast, guys, and my page just pop up. Like, subscribe, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification button, guys. Reason being because you'll be notified anytime a new show gets uploaded or short gets uploaded. So definitely make sure you are liked, you are subscribed, the notifications buttons are turned on. And again, we appreciate, guys, because none of this can be done without you. Also, my other show, the Get Bit Podcast, for video games, for mangas, things of that nature, with me and my other co-hosts. We usually do it every Friday, 8:30-ish. Also, like, share, and subscribe. And again, check us out every Friday around 8:30 to 9 o'clock. Also, wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's audio or visual, you can usually find us here on Spotify. Again, How the Frack We Got Here. You can definitely subscribe there, guys, as every show is uploaded the same day. So you can definitely catch us while you're on the road. And again, we appreciate it. Also, for myself, guys, my personal page, Black_Spartan 615 is where you usually can find me, guys. Again, I usually talk to everybody. Just don't make it weird. I don't have to get in this whole blocking situation, but always up for a good debate. Again, guys, protect your peace. Don't doom scroll. As you've seen last night, guys, don't ever say that voting doesn't matter. I never want to hear that. Not after last night. Voting does matter. Your vote does matter. Please, guys, show up for the midterms because, again, we can change things if we all work together. At the same time, guys, don't doom scroll, protect your peace, check on your friends, do something that makes you happy, do something that makes you think. But above all else, guys, just get out and enjoy the world. Time's short. Life is short. Smell the roses. It's not that bad. The last thing I'll say about How the Frack We Got Here, it's all about staying informed. We are not trying to reinvent the wheel. We are simply giving you all the information, allow you to make up your own mind that goes along with it. We do not do, we simply, guys, give the facts. Because why? We're progressive. We move forward, righting the wrongs of our past, but making decisions now that we should have done back then. Like electing our first black woman to the Supreme Court, electing our first black woman as a Federal Reserve governor. Maybe one day electing our first black woman be called Madam President. All great things. When we don't learn from history, we are doomed to repeat it. That's what we keep asking ourselves. Why does everything go about our paycheck? Why are we electing different politicians? Still the same old game in Congress. And most importantly, How the Frack We Got Here. Thank you all for watching, guys. Please take care of yourselves and each other. And I promise we'll get through this. Live long and prosper. Yes, I'm a Trekkie. Yes, I believe in it. And we can all do it. Peace.